All right, we are back for Roundtable Dolphins episode number 12. I am once again joined by Billie Melissa, and joining us each and every week moving forward is Ricardo Buddy Sandoval. Yeah! All right, we're going to talk all about Dolphins football, free agency. There is a loud ding in my ear, so whoever's phone that was, please put it on silent. Was that not you guys? Okay, yeah, that was really loud. Anyway, it's all right. These things happen. So
Some free agency news piece coming in.
Yeah, who else did the Dolphins sign? Okay, yeah, seriously, put that on mute, please. All right, now the Dolphins honestly didn't really think that they were going to be doing much of anything, and they kind of did some stuff. They kind of did some good stuff.
They got that guy.
Yeah, so after weeks and months of being attached to former Green Bay Packers quarterback Malik Willis, they got him. I did not think that this was going to happen, to be honest. I really didn't think it was going to go down the way it went down. I didn't think the Dolphins even had a shot to land Malik Willis, but I brought this up several times over. I said I would think that paying anything over $20 million would be ridiculous, given that he only has 6 starts in the NFL. And threw like 35 passes, I think it was, last season. Obviously, he only came in for Jordan Love being injured. Whatever. But yeah, $67.5 million, 3-year deal. The way that it's structured is he's going to get something like $8 million on the books this year, $7 million in that third year, and I think the second year is like the bulk of it, which is like $27 million. So honestly, the way that the Dolphins structured his contract, it's kind of like you're renting him for 2 years to kind of see what you got, and the third year is going to be essentially a void year, and I think that's smart because still you don't know what Malik Willis really is. Obviously, he showed flashes of brilliance when he took over for the injured Jordan Love with the Packers, but still, you don't know what you got. So $67.5 million, 3-year deal, just shy of like $23 million. I think it was like 22 and a half. I'm honestly not that mad about it.
I mean, that's great. It's what we've been talking about, what we kind of been hoping. Thought that completely out of the running, can't afford it. But that loyalty to John Eric Sullivan and Jeff Hafley just obviously means something more than what the other teams were offering.
No, yeah, I mean, like it's clearly a movie the Dolphins needed to do, right? Everyone knew Tua's time in Miami was donezo, and the only question was what route are they gonna go, right? Are they gonna maybe go the younger route in the draft? Or are they gonna go with someone like a guy like Malik Willis? And ultimately, they chose that. Like you said, James, he did show flashes of brilliance when he did start for the Green Bay Packers last year, and then throughout his career here and there. So now he's getting the chance in Miami. At least that's what it seems like, right? Especially with the money that they gave him. And this is a fresh new start in a way, right? It's a start of something new for Miami under new head coach and GM. So this signing could be just exactly what they need to just to go on that new chapter.
There's an important thing that I didn't even really think about, to be honest, that it didn't even cross my mind, and I was like, oh my God, duh. Obviously, one of the biggest drawbacks of the Dolphins the last few years with Tua Tagovailoa has been cold weather climates. He can't play in cold weather. The Dolphins can't play in cold weather, or rather, just Tua. So now you have a quarterback who 100% has played in cold weather games and can deliver in cold weather games, and that's Malik Willis. So you already have the benefit of a cold weather climate quarterback coming in and being able to lead the team when you have to go through the New York Jets and you have to go through the Buffalo Bills and whatever opponents you have to go in December when the Dolphins tend to falter in those moments. So I think that's an important thing to mention. And I was like, why didn't I even think of that? But I'm still skeptical of it. Like you just said, Buddy, they could have gone a lot of different directions. Billy, we've talked about this. They could have gotten Joe Flacco. They could have gotten Davis Mills. They could have got a Geno Smith. They could have got a Kyler Murray. Yeah, I think Kyler Murray, in my opinion, would have been that was more my favorite choice just because of 1.3 million it would have cost the Dolphins. And you gave him that 1 year to be like, okay, what the hell you got left? Not that Kyler Murray is going to be terrible, but it's just more so you want to bridge quarterback option you could have got a lot cheaper. And because of the cap constraints and the Dolphins not really having much to work with, I didn't think it was possible. But obviously, again, everyone keeps talking about how Malik Willis hasn't been given the fair shake that he should have been given with the Titans. Obviously, he had some injury issues there, and then he comes over and he learns in the Green Bay Packers system, and yeah. So hopefully this works out. He has to be everything that Tua wasn't. He has to be able to throw the ball deep. He has to be able to run the ball effectively, which is what Tua initially started to do until he got hit and got those concussions. But, I'm willing to give it a shot. I'm willing to see what he's got. And, hopefully it does work out. But, it's at this point, it's a very high risk, potential high reward signing for the Dolphins. But, they got Malik Willis. So,
yeah, I think it's that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I kind of see it that way. Like he's only started in 6 games in his career, and he's about to enter his fifth year, right? So there's a lot that he could be, right? But also, like I get why it would be a high risk because it's a guy who has only played in 6 games really, and even though he has shown flashes of brilliance, like 6 games is virtually nothing in the NFL, right? So. I mean, but if he can be the player that we have witnessed him to be last year with the Green Bay Packers, and he could translate that to Miami and this new sort of style of offense, then hey, sky's the limit for the Dolphins. And I mean, I wouldn't go as far to say he'll be their franchise quarterback, right? But like James, like you said, like this bridge quarterback, right, to the next player, whether it is a younger player or it is another top free agent down the road.
Yeah, I mean, he's there for 3 years though, so he's got to be the face for at least 3 of those. I think the issue is like what you were saying, James, is the other guys were like low risk for the potential for high reward. And so throwing all this money at Malik Willis is basically saying like, hey, you're our guy. We're
You're the
throwing the
guy.
chips in with you. You're going to be the guy that leads this team to greatness. I don't know, with hoping you can get us to at least to the playoffs. That would be a start. But what do they have around him to support him to do that? We'll have to see.
Yeah, I mean, the Dolphins are clearly not done in free agency. They're going to go and get those lower, a lot of guys that are going to cost a 1 to 3 million maybe. Romeo Dobbs just got released by the Packers, so there's a connection there. Obviously, maybe they go get him, pair him with Jalen Waddle. That could end up being a good pairing, especially for Malik Willis, because you got somebody that you're already used to. So I don't know, but you're right, Billy. Like you just said, that this is the guy for the next 2 years at least. The third year could be that void year, but this ultimately tells Malik Willis, you are the starter, and then tells Quinn Ewers, sorry, bud, you got to kind of evolve. So I do feel bad in the sense of like, I would have liked to see what Quinn Ewers can do, but this does not mean that Malik Willis won the starting job either. If they're really true to their word about bringing in competition in that quarterback room, they're going to let those guys compete for the spot. Let's be fair. He's probably going to win it, but it's still infusing competition. And like you said, buddy, you got the draft coming up in 2027 and Malik Willis doesn't work out. You go and do exactly what John Eric Solomon said, and you go and draft another quarterback until you get it right. I don't really believe that that's the way that they should be going about it, but that's neither here nor there. They got Malik Willis. He's the guy. I'm hoping to see fireworks. The offense could end up being really fun with Malik Willis, who can already run his butt off and throw the damn ball. You got Devon Achane still there. You got Jalen Waddle right there. Two of the fastest guys in the NFL, period. And then you add Malik Willis. I think it's going to be fun to watch, but you got to get those complementary pieces, like you said, Billy, around them. And we'll see what happens. But staying right along with the quarterback situation, I was very upset to hear this news because I've been a fan of his for a very long time, but we knew this was coming. The writing was on the wall. The Dolphins effectively and officially released Tua Tagovailoa, absorbing that 99.2 record dead cap, split over the next 2 seasons. They owe him $54 million guaranteed no matter what in 2026. That number I think is like 60 something based on like other factors of the contract that I won't get into because I'm not a contract super savvy person. But he's gone. They cut him. And hours after his release, he's already got a new job. He's going to be signing a 1-year deal with the Atlanta Falcons. Good for him. It makes so much sense that he's with the Falcons. They are already used to a lefty quarterback. They got Michael Penix. He may or may not be back for the start of the regular season because he had to repair a partially torn ACL. I see it. I see it. To be fair, to be honest, I hope that he goes and balls out with the Falcons or anywhere else. I think he's going to bounce back in a very big way. 2025 was not his year. I think it was a little unfair for the Dolphins to move on quickly from him. But when you're in a full rebuild and you're in a full reset, and he's one of the biggest X factors of your season not going well, you kind of have to put 2 and 2 together. You had to get rid of him. I understand it's a business. I don't fully agree with it. I like Tua, and I just hope he's a success in Atlanta.
Yeah. We've been saying this over the weeks, the relationship between him and the Dolphins had just broken down and he needed to go somewhere else. And I love that he's going to get a chance to fit in, like you said, with the left-handed. They're used to that, all these things that kind of line up for him to be successful over there. They're in a tough division. He's going to have to really work hard, just like the AFC East is a tough division. So yeah, no, I want to see him do great. I love to see a comeback story. Could he be comeback player of the year this time next year? Maybe. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, clearly Tua needed a new direction. The Dolphins needed a new direction, right? It sucks that it had to come this way, especially since, they drafted him 5th overall back in 2020, but, the writing was on the wall. It was just time. And then now he lands in Atlanta with Kevin Stefanski, who's, a great offensive mind and who's considered a quarterback developer, right? Like, yeah, Tua's not young anymore, but I mean, maybe, this is the type of head coach that he needs. I know he was with another offensive genius in Mike McDaniel, right? But, maybe a new change of scenery is always good for people. And maybe that could be for Tua, landing with Kevin Stefanski, landing with the Atlanta Falcons, who have who have young pieces, right? Drake London, Kyle Pitts, if they're able to retain him, right? So, this could be really good for Tua, and also too maybe not being in such a, I mean, the AFC East is not a juggernaut, but being in an even lesser division in the NFC North, right? Like the Saints are still, they are what they've been the past couple of years. Plus, you have the Bucks are coming off of like a weird year, kind of injury riddled year. Who knows what they're going to be next year, right? And then you have the Panthers, who are really up and coming, right? So, there's a chance where the Falcons maybe could, maybe finish at the top of the division. They had a really strong finish this past year, and then with some would say maybe a slight upgrade in Tua at their quarterback position.
I'd say that. Right? I'd say that's fair. I think he is definitely an upgrade from Penix, in my opinion. I think he is. I think they're similar in their abilities, but again, this is all really dependent on can Tua bounce back? Can he bounce back from the 2025 season, which was an outlier, by the way, but, maybe more training, maybe. So I don't know how true this is. I didn't do the research enough to get it corroborated, but back when he was 2023, 2024, he was working with an outside trainer on his throwing velocity, on his ability to fall and to run and all that stuff. And then the Dolphins stopped him from doing that in 2025. And that's what happened. Again, I don't know how true or not this is, but that could play a factor. Maybe he goes, hey, look, you guys got to let me do this and work with this guy because he was helping me evolve my game. And I know that certain teams want their internal people to be able to do that as opposed to you going to the third party. But if the third party guy is getting you right, why the hell would you not allow that to happen? Especially for someone like Tua, like that doesn't have the strongest arm, which we know that, but he's accurate as hell. And so if you can get a little bit more zip on that ball and he can kind of come back from 2025 and be more in 2024 or 2023, what he was before, the Falcons could have a pretty good quarterback there. It just really depends on, is Michael Penix going to be healthy to start week 1? And also, are they going to have a competition to see who's the starter? Which obviously I think that's the point because Penix has been kind of, ugh. So, I don't know. I'm going to miss Tua. Hats off to Tua. He loved Miami and Miami loved him. And, he did really well here. Unfortunately, the success was not, a playoff game and a Super Bowl appearance and all that. But, hats off to him. I hope he does well.
Mm-hmm.
I'll miss you, Tua. So
It's so sad when, like, he was the face and he got you guys to the playoffs. So
yeah, yeah.
let's hope he gets to continue to have that success elsewhere now.
Yeah, but I mean, like, other than Malik Willis, when Malik Willis is still young, but John Eric Sullivan and Jeff Hafley are keeping true to their promise with the Dolphins. They are truly rebuilding. They are resetting everything. They are trying to build through the draft. They are trying to get younger. And as a result, they already cut two players, not cut, but two players that were kind of backups and kind of starters. Cole Strange and Larry Borum have now landed with new teams. Two offensive linemen. This obviously means that the Dolphins have to rebuild that unit once again. This is something that they've struggled with for a very, very long time. But that's one thing, if true, with what Sullivan's words are, you got to build this unit. You got to build this unit up. You got to start from scratch. You have Patrick Paul. You got Aaron Brewer. Those are your building blocks. Everybody else, okay, figure out like Jonah. Maybe you move Jonah to guard or tackle. I believe he was a guard. Let me see. But yeah, this is what they're doing right now. This is getting younger. This is not giving bloated contracts to older players, and I'm for it. Jonah was left guard. Maybe you move him to tackle. I don't know. Maybe that's what you got to do, but Jonah did not work out as well as the team had hoped, and they traded up to get him in the 2025 draft. So, there's a lot of work to be done across the board. But the offensive line, obviously, you lost to Cole Strange and you lost Larry Borum. Those were the guys that you were going to be like, oh my God, we have to bring them back. They are still trying to work on a deal with Austin Jackson. But again, he's a guy that can't stay on the field. So I'm fine if he doesn't come back to the Dolphins. But yeah, they're getting younger.
Yeah. And they're going to need to if they're investing in, this run game approach. If you're going full blown on Malik Willis and Devon Achane kind of getting up the middle there, you're going to need that offensive line. And so they better hope they can pad it out for them.
No, yeah, yeah. I mean, you kind of knew like with this new regime, right? Like there was going to be massive changes, right? And obviously the Tua thing happened, and then them losing, these backups and starters, like you said, James. Honestly, every time I think about Cole Strange, I just think about Les Snead and Sean McVay, where they were just completely shocked that the New England Patriots took him in the first round. They're like, "Whoa, we thought it was gonna be 104. We're looking at him as a fourth round pick." I'm sorry, I just had to bring that up because I saw that clip yesterday and it was like, "What the heck?" Patriots ended up cutting him after 2 years.
Yeah.
Goes to two different teams, and so with the Dolphins now he's with the Chargers. Like it's kind of crazy. But yeah, man, like Dolphins are clearly going in a new, younger direction, something that they needed to do, right? I mean, yeah, they had pieces where it was like, okay, like maybe they could be, contender in the AFC and whatnot, couple playoff appearances, but now it's clearly time for a new direction. Now it's time to see like what they do in the draft, and I think that's really like their focal point, right? I mean, it's clearly these are guys that they lost who they had no interest in bringing back at all. So now it's like, who are they gonna use to complement Malik Willis? Are they gonna upgrade that offensive line, right, for HN? There's a lot of different routes that they could go to, and it's yeah, it sucks that they're not really contending in a way, but it's like, okay, like this is not for 2026. This is for 2027, 2028, 2029, right? Like, what are they gonna do to, have this new core under Hafley and under Sullivan, right? They're now building their team, right? Out with the old, in with the new. So in a way, it's a little bit exciting, and I'm really excited to see what type of direction they go in.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. And again, we've seen the Packers for the last 30 years. Like they know how to build through the draft. They know how to keep their guys. They know they don't take big swings, which that can come in a detriment too as well. Like if you're too scared to do any free agency stuff, then you end up being behind the curve. But that being said, I fully trust what Sullivan is doing, what he's trying to build. But yeah, I think an important thing, and because the Dolphins have been mocked to quite a few offensive linemen at number 11, as they should pick one. Again, we just brought these guys up, but Francis Mauigoa or Vega Ione, any one of those guys, go ahead. Build that offensive line, build those trenches. We talked about it before, Billy. Keep doing it. Keep doing that exact thing. And you're right. You need somebody to protect Malik Willis now. I mean, yes, he can run his butt off, but you don't need him to be running if he can gun the ball downfield. You got Devon Achane. You need to open those lanes. I expect that they're going to potentially extend Aaron Brewer at some point really quickly here. But I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. They let Fitzpatrick walk out the door too.
Yeah. That was. I'm a little upset about this one. 7th round pick. 7th round pick is all they got for Minkah Fitzpatrick, an all-pro safety who, he got hurt. He had a hamstring injury, calf injury, excuse me, that took him out of the last 3 games of the season. But he had a wonderful season, a bounce-back season because everybody said he lost a step, which is why the Pittsburgh Steelers were willing to let him go to bring back Jalen Ramsey. That's why they traded with the Dolphins. But he played a wonderful season in 2025, minus the injury. But a 7th round is all we could get for him. I'm very confused about that one. I think Barry Jackson from the Miami Herald broke it down more contractually, and I think the idea behind it was that the Dolphins would not have to incur any of his contract by trading him for a 7th rounder. I think the stipulation for the Jets taking him was that they would pay all of it. So if that's the case and no other team wanted to do that, and if they did, they would, like if the Dolphins wanted a 4th round pick for Fitzpatrick, but then they had to pay like 50% of that salary, then I get it because you wanted to go get Malik Willis, you wanted to go get that guy for sure, but you still ate the 54 million from Tua or the 60, whatever it is in this season. So you don't have a lot to play with. You're like, look, give me a 7th round pick. I get something for Minkah Fitzpatrick, and you guys pay all of his salary. So if that's the way that it worked out, fine. But
yeah,
I still think
tough losses for that financial pit that they're in.
I mean, that's the issue with Chris Greer and the past regimes and the constant holdover from Stephen Ross, who just didn't want to hit that reset button. And you're right. Now they're hitting the reset button, and you're seeing the monetary issues that this team truly has and that they're going to be on the hook for again in 2027. But 2027, you're going to be in a much better spot than you are right now.
Yeah. And you got Malik Willis.
You got Malik Willis. That's you can kind of hang your hat on that one. I love it. I hope that it works out. I hope that it works out. We'll see what happens. But you got to see what other moves they may or may not make. Free agency just kicked off, and the Dolphins got a big quarterback. They figured out their quarterback situation, which was the biggest issue. Billy, we talked about this for weeks on end. What the hell are they going to do with Tua? Who are they going to get? And they did it in one fell swoop. They cut Tua Tagovailoa. They signed Malik Willis. So now that part is done. You got Quinn Ewers, who's probably going to be your backup quarterback. You can keep Zach Wilson if you want. Or, I forgot the other guy on the roster. I always forget his name. Cam Miller, who I believe that they signed to the practice squad some down the line. So whatever. I don't know. But I don't know who else they're going to get in. But I think this also takes away the fact that you have to go and draft someone like a Ty Simpson or a Carson Beck or a Drew Aller. I don't think you have to do that now. You can. I don't think they should, but we'll see what happens.
Not in the first round.
No, I mean, hell no. If they draft anybody in the first round, I'm going to be, oh my God, please don't do that. please don't do that. No, please don't do that. Oh God, like my heart just hurts saying like, oh, don't do that. Anyway,
crazy things have happened this season. I didn't know.
The only other guy that I truly want the Dolphins to bring back currently of their free agents is Rasul Douglas. I've talked about him for weeks. Again, I understand why they wouldn't. He's 29. He's up there. He's been a veteran for multiple teams, but he had a nice bounce back year in 2025. He's that veteran guy that we talked about, Billy, that you can guide all these young guys that come in, these safeties and these corners or whoever they bring in. He's really the top guy right now for me. Like, bring him back. The only other top guy they did sign for me, I'll get to him in a second, but Rasul Douglas right now is still that guy I think that you bring back. And I know you're trying to get younger, and I know he's older and he's a vet, but if you're bringing back any older vet, I mean, Larry Borom is gone, Cole Strange is gone. Those are the kind of guys that, okay, yeah, let them go. But I think Rasul Douglas, given that how well he played in this system, I think you keep him.
Absolutely. And you need that veteran presence around the locker room. If you are getting younger, you need someone who can kind of be there and be the guy to kind of rally them. welcome them to the team, teach them about the regime, the scheme. You know, you need that presence in the room, and he's a great player. So why would you let him walk?
Yeah, he played the majority of the year. He had 13 passes defended, 62 total tackles. Like, I mean, yeah, it's a guy like, yeah, James, like you said, right? Like, yeah, the Dolphins clearly want to go the younger route, but I mean, he's still a good cornerback, right? So
Yep.
like, you need to defend somebody, especially with, I mean, AFC East doesn't have like some really high level pass catchers, right? But still, like you still need this type of guy to be an anchor in a way, right? So, I mean, why not?
Yeah, he said too on social media, he said, I don't know what's going on. So obviously that's not really fun because I'm like, okay, if you're not talking to him, what the hell are you guys doing? But,
Yeah, he's
more
like, I've not
important,
heard from anyone.
yeah, more importantly, he gave up 54.5 completion percentage and 73.0 passer rating and 3 touchdowns only. So he's still a good coverage corner. And please bring him back. Like, of all the people, bring him back. I really hope they do because I don't want him to go away. I want him to be back. I like Rasul Douglas a lot. I thought he was a really good pickup. He played well, all things considered. But the other guy that I talked about with Billy previously, but you weren't on those episodes, but tight end Greg Dulcich is back. And I'm very, very happy about this one. They signed him to 1 year, 3.25 million, I believe it was
Yeah.
$3.25 million deal. I said this, I was like, you can probably get him back for a 1 year deal. It's going to be a little bit smaller, prove it deal. He came onto the Dolphins team way later. They got him on the active roster in October. He played 10 games. He started only 3. But he had like 345 yards and he had 1 touchdown. And he just started coming alive. He started showing those flashes of 335 yards. He started showing those flashes of brilliance in the pass catching department. I think if you were going to bring anybody back, if it was a choice between him and Darren Waller. Darren Waller did show the same thing, and he got a lot more touchdowns, red zone target. I fully wanted Greg Dulcich to come back. I don't think Darren Waller is going to be back now. He talked about potentially coming back to play, but he was undecided about that. And even so, I don't think he would want to come back to the Dolphins. I think if he's going to come back, he's going to try to go to a contender.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, seems sensible. It's low cost, effective, 1 year deal, young guy. Made the most sense. Hey, Waller, Baltimore needs a tight end. You want to come home, buddy? Want to
Yeah.
come back to your rookie team?
Yeah. That's the pitch right there. But yeah, so honestly, again, I didn't think the Dolphins were going to be active at all. They pulled off one of the biggest gets. They got Malik Willis. We will see how that pans out. Hoping for something good from that department. We'll see what he does in year 1. Even if the Dolphins have a limited roster, if they can even be slightly competitive, that's going to be a good sign.
Sure.
Obviously, a lot of people don't expect them to be. I don't expect them to be simply because of the cap constraints and not being able to bring people in. And you're cutting down the roster to rebuild it through the draft. It's going to take a little time. So
Yeah, it's a long-term project.
Yeah.
it is. Hopefully, no longer than 2-3 years, please. But I've been here when they were 1-15. I've been here when
Gonna be in here anyway.
yeah, I was here when they won the division the following year. I've been here for over 30 years. Like I get it. I see what they do, but it's been over 10 years since they did a full reset, and now they brought in the guys that everybody's been praising around the league. So obviously we don't know how Jeff Hafley is going to be as an NFL head coach. Sullivan's now running the show the front office wise, and we will see.
We'll see.
Yeah. So this has been Roundtable Dolphins episode number 12. Thank you, Billy and Buddy, for joining me. We will be back next week to potentially talk more about whatever the free agency nonsense the Dolphins get into. Again, probably not going to be a lot of spot shinings. Malik Willis was probably the only one. We'll see what happens with all those lower tier guys that they can afford, and we will be back.